Are you prepared to follow TOS? Just making sure.
I will. Hell
All
yeah.
right. What's up?
Yo, what's up, man? Damn, I'm surprised you picked me for a little bit. I was fixing to fall asleep. Uh,
Well, good morning.
good morning, buddy. Hunter, uh, when you were making that when you made that video about fascism, uh, I think you had some misconceptions about fascism, man. So you got a lot of stuff from Umberto Eco's 14 points, right? Or 14 characteristics, right?
That was the outline I was. Yeah, that was the outline that I was using.
And then yeah. And then you started like giving prescriptions of like that to like Trumpies or like Trump supporters, right? And you were saying, well, this is fascistic and that thing
Yeah, I
they
was
do.
more just kind of pointing to some examples.
Sure. So my problem is so there's a lot of like just in my opinion like some inaccurate stuff with Umberto Eco's and his like whole 14 characteristics.
Are you a
With
fascist yourself?
yeah, I am.
So instead of
And
arguing about Umberto, whatever, why don't you actually try to sell me on fascism here?
okay, sure. Okay, sure. How do you feel about materialism?
Elaborate.
So like a big thing with fascism is instead of like embracing things like consumerism and like rugged individualism, fascism more embraces like a form of communitarianism where it wants every individual to feel a part of the community. And that's where you brought up like in your video stuff about how fascists like usually supported the like family values, and that's
Mhm.
because fascism believes that everything like starts with the family, and that if you have strong,
So
tight
why
family.
can't you just believe that without being a fascist? Like, of course, community is important and family is important. So why can't you just believe that and then not be a fascist?
So you're basically asking what you're asking me this is you're saying, why don't you believe one of the most core tenets of fascism without being a fascist?
Family values is a core tenet of fascism.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Well, there are other people though that have family values. You could argue is like a core tenet of Christianity too.
well, I'm also a Christian, yeah, and I think Christianity, me being a Christian is
So
actually
I'm not a Christian or a fascist, but of course I recognize the value in family values.
okay.
So it's
So
not a core tenet of fascism. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. It might be a core tenet of fascism, but just if you believe in family values does not mean you are a fascist.
yeah, sure. So what led to me being a fascist is once you have a strong tight family and like then you get to strong tight communities, then you get to the representation in the state. And see, fascism is very authoritarian. The big Italian fascist motto was nothing outside the state, everything within the state, nothing against the state. Right. So once you have such strong tight communities that can build such a strong relationship with the state, then you have a nation and the state.
How would you have a good relationship with the state if you're under authoritarianism? Wouldn't having a better relationship with the state kind of be like what we have now with like a democracy and elected officials?
Wait. You think Americans are getting accurately represented in American
Well,
government?
I mean, not entirely. I think that there's room for improvement, but I think that people have a much more control over their government with under America as a democracy than they would under fascism. Yeah.
Nah, I don't. I don't. Not at all. It's because, especially like you can, so like in America, like I think just the approval rate in Congress is like 36%, right? Under fascism, especially like in Italy, right? You had like the labor chart, the chart of labor. You would act where you would actually have like people who like actual workers would be corresponding with the Italian government to try to get a better relationship with them. The whole point of the fascist government
This just doesn't.
is
This all sounds like stuff that could really easily exist without fascism. It sounds like you're missing some stuff with fascism here. Is there anything to do with
like
any
what?
kind of restrictions on like brown people or anything? Like
Mm,
if
No, act-
you're telling me right now is that I should become a fascist because I could have better communities and
yeah,
connections with the government when
yes.
we could already do that right now, and arguably we have way more connection with the government now because we're able to vote and we actually have
All
a
right.
say
Well,
in that instead of living under
uh,
authoritarianism. So yeah, that doesn't really sound like a very good argument for why I should be a fascist then.
all right. So first of all, I think it's funny that you equivalent fascism with like racism. You don't
I was just
have to.
asking. I wasn't necessarily equivocating.
No, I'm not a racist. I don't care that much. Especially so like the fascist. The so there were different fascist parties. all across Europe. And fascism was actually very popular in South America. And actually, one of the Brazilian fascists, they were called the Brazilian integralists. Their motto was to make Brazil a union for race and all people. So fascism does not have necessarily, I mean, race based. That's just the thing that the Nazis
So
chose.
family values is a core tenet of fascism, but racism isn't.
Yes, that's because every single fascist supported some form of the nuclear family, while not every single fascist supported some type of racism. The only ones that
That's
did
not
that
even what it necessarily means if it was a core tenet, but still, you're not really selling me on anything. Okay, so some people were fascist and they were also, okay, so not necessarily have to be racist, but again, like, why would I want an authoritarian government when we can just build up communities now? Like, for example, Biden's infrastructure plan has some really good ways that it's going to invest in communities. I think that a large reason that people, you're seeing like a decrease in people's mental health is because of a lack of communities. I'm 100% in favor of seeing more communities, more face-to-face interactions, smaller communities where people can interact. But you can advocate for that without advocating for an authoritarian government.
All right, so authoritarian. So what's your what you support like some type of minimal government?
We're going to have to wrap this up real soon. I mean, I support the government. I want the government, of course, to work for the people, but I think that we're much closer to getting that when you're able to vote and participate in the democracy than you would be if you had like an elected official. Or I'm sorry, not an elected official. If you had an authoritarian like dictator or someone leading. Yeah.
I said when I mean authoritarian, I mean a form of a bigger government. Fascism, while under I think Mussolini and I think while under Hitler, you didn't have a lot of voting. But like say like the British Union of Fascists advocated for some type of occupational democracy and just
I know, but
a different way of
my question originally was to try and sell me on fascism, and all you were able to tell me is that it would be family values and then like communities or whatever, which is and a closer relationship with the government, which we can already do right now. But yeah, all right. Thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right,
See you,
later.
mate. Have a good day.